We Buy Any House companies promise a fast, certain house sale, but they also have one of the worst reputations in the entire property industry. So are they actually scams? Well, I've worked in and around these companies for nearly 15 years. So in this video, I'll show you why these companies exist, the real problems with them, and how to tell if this route is something you should actually look into for your house sale. So let's start here. Why do these companies even exist in the first place? Well, selling your house is slow, stressful, and frustrating. According to Rightmove, the average house sale currently takes about 7 months from start to finish, and that's the average. So half take even longer than that. Sales can fall through any time, and people are generally dissatisfied with their estate agents as well. It's a whole mess. And whenever a market has serious problems like this, it creates demand for alternatives. And so you can see the appeal of a company who just says something like, "We will buy your house for cash today." The demand is there. That's why they exist. But do they actually deliver? Well, here's the first problem. Even if you're dealing with an honest company, the problem is buying houses is really expensive and risky. And so to cover their costs and make a profit, the genuine companies can only pay about 80% of a property's value. So for us as sellers, losing 20% of our home's value is a massive hit to take. And so it means even the honest, genuine companies can feel like a scam because you lose so much. And I know those amounts look crazy, but actually that 20% they get disappears really fast. You can actually find on Companies House the accounts of some of the biggest companies in the country. Their profit margins can be razor thin. About 1 to 2% is often all they're making. Now, you should not feel sorry for them for that, but it explains why there's no genuine companies who just comes along and offers 85 or 90% of the market value. It's because they can't, because they'd be making a loss. So the verdict here is for genuine companies, they're not a scam. They're just horrendously expensive. And that begs the question, which is, well, are all companies genuine? And here's where the real problems start. So most people don't want to lose 20% of their home's value. And so when people do entertain it, it's often because there's some pressure they are under. So I see all the time maybe financial difficulties, health issues, or some other situation that puts someone under pressure. And sadly, whenever you have this sort of vulnerability, along with this much money at stake, you will get predators. And the thing that's uncomfortable about this industry, these companies aren't like estate agents, because estate agents are on the same side as you. You pay for them for delivering a sale, so you're always aligned. You're paying for a service. But with house buying companies, it's the opposite, because they actually make their money just by taking it from you. Literally, the less they pay for your home, the more they make. And it creates this horrible incentive for them to exploit these vulnerable situations. And that again is why this industry feels and is so scammy. So there are a few scammy tactics they use, but here are the biggest two and most common two. You will get companies who will make a high initial offer that they know they'll reduce later on, and there's nothing to stop them doing that. Secondly, there's companies who act like they will buy the property quickly, but they lock you in with long contracts and then just search for a buyer like an estate agent does. So why would you ever sign up to a service like that? Well, the obvious answer is you wouldn't, but they get you to sign up by overpromising and misrepresenting what they do and how they work. So there is absolutely a ton of awful behavior among a lot of these companies. And I know a lot of people will hear this and they say, well, it can't be that bad. Like maybe there's some backstreet kind of dodgy garages, but the big companies, the ones you'll find on Google and with the good reviews, they've all got to be legit. But that actually leads us to the third and final problem with this industry. Now, in a normal industry, you would be correct. The biggest companies are the most reputable, but this industry is not a normal industry because it is not regulated. And so the opposite happens. The most aggressive and least trustworthy companies are actually the ones who rise to the top. It's upside down. And yes, they might be members of the property ombudsman, but the ombudsman themselves say the ombudsman is not a regulator and does not have the authority to take regulatory or legal action against the company or impose fines or dictate the way companies conduct their business. And yes, as well, they might be members of the National Association of Property Buyers. Now, let's quietly ignore the fact that this organization was set up by the industry itself and they wrote their own rule book to allow many of the bad practices they've always used. But at the same time, in their own words, the NAPB is not in itself a redress scheme or regulator. It can provide information to anybody who feels they have been unfairly treated. That's it. Provide information to you after you've maybe been scammed. That's what I mean about this not being regulated. That is the extent of the protection you have. And so the Ombudsman and the NAPB give the illusion of safety without actually doing anything to keep the industry clean or properly protect sellers. So let me show you a story from a while ago that illustrates this point. So I spoke with a lady from Leeds. She was in a pretty tough situation financially, and she contacted me because a We Buy Any House company had just dropped their offer from £202,000 to £160,000 right before moving day. So she had gone to another company because she really needed to sell fast, and she'd been going through the process a few weeks. Then the same thing just happened. They reduced their offer from £200,000 to £170,000. And here's the thing, both of them were Property Ombudsman members. Both of them were in the National Association of Property Buyers. One was even a founding member of the organisation. But that seller had no protection, no compensation, and she just had to pick up the pieces and figure things out from there. So are We Buy Any House companies all scams? Well, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly. The genuine ones can buy your home way faster than you sell with an agent, and it can be really easy and stress-free. But even with a genuine company, it's going to cost you 20% of your home's value. And the ugly, there are very few genuine companies. It is a shark-filled industry, and these guys have no real regulation or oversight or consequences. So what do you do if you want a quick, easy sale, but you're nervous about dealing with these companies? Well, on our website, we've built a quiz you can take in 60 seconds. You answer a few questions, and then it will tell you whether this route makes sense. If it does, you can connect directly with the only company I personally recommend, one I've been working with over 10 years now. And if it doesn't make sense, I'll show you the best alternatives and help you with a free tailored plan and some other resources as well. Just so you know, I spend most of my time talking people out of using house buying companies and instead help you find ways to still sell more quickly, but get way more money in doing so. So if you do want a faster sale, the quiz is a great starting point. It takes 60 seconds. Link is in the description below. If you click that, I will see you there. If not, I hope this has been useful. Happy home selling. Be careful out there, and I will see you soon.